All right, this is what is a function part 2. Yes, so let's go ahead and move right to it, screen. So we're talking about how to make a program useful or more useful to be able to handle more cases and stuff like that. Or we want it to have variable input, so an input that can change based on whatever the user gives us, which means we need a way for the user to get us data, and then we need to do something with the data, run some code, and then give them back something, right? So they give us, okay, 4 plus 6, and then when they press this, the computer processes it and then gives them back, here's the var result in essence. Okay, so we recognized, okay, these 4 functions are basically all doing the same thing. They're just calculating two numbers, putting two numbers together. So let's go ahead and put that code in one spot inside a function instead of keeping it separate. And to make it a bit more interesting, because again, this is just one line, so it's harder to see the usefulness. Let's say instead of just var num 1 plus 2, it becomes something like this. Okay, where it's like, okay, this generation, for some reason, they don't like, they really want a program that can calculate the numbers, what's given two numbers, what's the value of the first number plus the second number again? What is that value? And this generation really wants a program with that for some reason, because all the cool kids are calculating numbers this way. It's like, so okay, if that's the case, let's make a function. All this has the same kind of logic, which is basically, okay, number 1 plus number 2 plus number 2, even though again the numbers have different inputs. So this becomes now 17. This becomes now, let's see, plus 8. It becomes 25. And then this one now becomes 19. All right. So behind the scenes, here's the inputs, here's the outputs, and they want this. They really want it bad. So how do we create this for them? Okay, the logic's the same between all 4. Let's wrap it up in a function. And so this function, here's the function name. Here's a keyword that tells you, hey, code, if you see this I'm about to define a function, or define a function's instructions for you. And so basically you say, okay, what inputs does this need? So you put some values in here, if any. You can also leave it empty if you want to. And then anything inside these curly brackets is the code lines that it will run. So it can be, again, 1 code line, it could be 1,000 code lines. Anything inside here is what we want to run whenever someone calls calc result. Okay. All right. So, okay, more. Yeah. All right. So let's see. So in this case, we need at least 2 values, right? So we need x and y. We need 2 values, and this is a poorly named. You can name. Ideally, you'd want to name it something better, but we can use TypeScript to say, okay, this first one is a number, and the second one is a number. If you get that, then what you want to do is you want to return x plus y, right? That's essentially what all these 4 items are doing. It's given 2 different variables, 2 values. Give us the first one, add the second, and add the second again. Okay, so this is a simple function, but now because of that, we can replace all these other guys. So it's like, okay, this guy becomes, okay, I'm gonna copy this. So here, if you press Control-C, Control-V, at the end of the line, it'll copy that same line. So this thing is the same as saying run the calculate result function. Like so. So I'm going to comment this out because I don't need it anymore. All right. So it's basically saying use calc result function, and what is the first value, the first variable? It should be number 1. The var num, whatever value is in here, pass it into x. And then, okay, for the variable y, whatever's in here, pass it here. Okay, so that's replacement there. Okay, what's the replacement here? It'd be the 0-based index of this number array. Oh, and then the 4th one. So that's the replacement for that guy. And kind of so on and so forth. I think this is, okay, actually that's a copy of the same thing above. All right, get out of here. Okay, calc results. Wait, did I do that right? Okay. Yes, so 3, and then var num 1. All right, so this is same thing, just replaced it. So I replaced it with a function call instead now. Oop, I'm running this guy twice. All right, and so how is that useful? Again, part of it's like it follows the dry principle of don't repeat yourself. But additionally, you know, what if it's like our boss comes back to us and says, hey, oops, and got it wrong. It's not actually x plus, you know, it's not actually number 1 versus plus number 2 plus number 2. It's actually, you know, it's number 1 plus number 1 plus number 2. You know, sorry about that. Can you fix your code? So instead of having to fix it in all 3 places, to like, okay, I got to change this value, change this value, change this value, I can just do it in one spot instead. I can be like, oh, I got this. Because everything is calling this function, I can be like, okay, instead I'm going to just x plus y, right? Or, you know, to make the code better, I can be like first number, name it something a little more relevant, or first, second, or say second button pressed, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, first number. See this better code now? Now it's easier to, now you can read it, and you can see it, and you sort of read it offhand. So now it's better. So I can say, okay, save it, send it off. I'm like, okay, boss, nope, we're good. I just had to change it in one spot instead of having to change it in 3 spots. So that's the power of, you know, reusing code and not having to repeat yourself. Makes it easier to bug fix and all of that. All right. So that's the gist of functions and why they are useful. And particularly they'll be more useful, again, the more code lines you have. But that's a pretty good start.